welcome to Pots, Pans, and Pioneers. Today I'm going to be making this wonderful sweet potato bake, and I hope you'll join me and continue to watch, and I will show you how my grandmother taught me how to make good old southern sweet potatoes. Okay, to go along with our pork today, I'm going to do a baked sweet potato, and I'll show you how my grandmother taught me how to make sweet potatoes. So these are organic sweet potatoes I just got at one of the organic stores, and I've washed them. I've rinsed them off and washed them good, and I'm going to cut the ends off of them. Sometimes they have a little root coming out of them, or you know, there's little roots that are poking out. Okay, so we're going to do the baked sweet potatoes with our sirloin pork today, and I wanted to show you how my grandmother taught me how to make baked sweet potatoes. I've not seen a recipe like this, but I'm sure there's somebody making it, a duplication. I just haven't found one. So I've cleaned and rinsed the sweet potatoes. I've cut off the end, and I'll cut off this end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel them just like a carrot. So I'm just going to take them and peel them. You don't necessarily have to take off the skin to bake them, but I do. I don't like the skin on a sweet potato. So for me, it's like eating the skin off of a pumpkin. I don't prefer that, but I do like baked sweet potatoes, and I just eat around the skin, so that's okay. So all we're going to do is peel our sweet potato just like a carrot or anything like that. They're not as easy as a regular potato, but you just have to, don't give up. Just keep trying to get all the skin off. I'm going to rinse it one more time. Put it to the side and grab another one. Clean off my cutting board. Cut off the ends and any of the roots that are on them I just pull off. Cut off your ends like that. And then we're just going to peel it like a carrot. You could peel these by hand if you're really skilled with a knife. And it sometimes helps if you cut the potato in half and peel it that way. But for the sake of time and just how I normally do it, I'm gonna use this, you know, peeler. And sweet potatoes are going to take longer than regular potatoes, just so you know. They're going to take, I would say 3 times as long, depending on the size that you cut them. That's just my gauging them. It's not, you know, it's not a for sure thing, but most sweet potatoes they're more dense, and they do take longer to cook. Alright, so I'm going to take these and I'm going to slice them into just rounds. And you can tell they're way thicker than a regular potato. It's not a job you want to give to a child, for sure. Oh, there you go. our sweet potatoes in our baking dish. And now I'm going to get the rest of the ingredients ready, and I'll be back and we'll show you how to finish off sweet potatoes before you put them in the oven. Okay, so I've sprayed my baking dish and I've got all my sweet potatoes, rounds, raw sweet potato rounds in here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to mix, I'm going to get my sauce ready to pour on it before we start baking it. And what you need to know is I make a lot of my own sugars, like brown sugar and confectioner sugar. So my recipes are going to be what you see, and how I'm doing it has a lot to do with what the ingredients that I'm using, whether it's organic, the results, the taste, the quality, all that stuff has a lot to do with the ingredients I'm using. So if you choose a different brand or different style of ingredient or a cheaper ingredient, just know you're not going to have the same, results. I've got a stick of butter melted in my Pyrex liquid measuring cup, and I'm going to use my homemade brown sugar. I use a little extra molasses than what you're going to find in the stores. If you're going to use one, I would say use the dark brown sugar for this recipe, but you can use a light if you don't like the strong molasses. So I'm going to pour a cup of my homemade brown sugar into the butter in here. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I did use the real butter that has, it's salted real butter, so I don't want to put a lot of extra salt in there. But you want to season your food because it will bring out the flavors in that. And then we're going to add a fourth a cup of water. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to stir this all together. Just like that. I mean, it's just going to look like a sugary syrup. And right now it's really grainy. I'm going to add a little bit of pumpkin spice to this. And I'd say it's a half a teaspoon of pumpkin spice. You could add cloves, but they're already in the pumpkin spice seasoning, so I like the cinnamon too. So pumpkin spice has all of those together, and I just think it's a better mixture of the spices. Just gonna stir this in. The warm butter is gonna start to dissolve the sugar in here, and you're seeing a lot of the molasses from the sugar that I made. So then we're going to add a little bit of honey. And I use the unfiltered honey, and I use local from Texas just because the benefits of honey are best if you use your own local honey there locally to you. The health benefits. If you're using honey that's made in Brazil or anything like that, it's okay. You're just not going to get the full benefit of the honey health-wise unless you're using your local honey that's in your area. Okay, and that's probably a tablespoon of honey in here. All right, we're going to bring our dish back. And I know y'all might be saying this is not how I make baked sweet potatoes. That's okay. This is just how my grandmother taught me to do it. So I've got some leftover bacon from this morning, and I'm going to take slices of the bacon and I'm just going to break it up here in the sweet potatoes. You don't have to add bacon, it's optional. It's just, I have it here extra, and I know this is going to really make this dish really good. You could also do walnuts or pecans over your sweet potatoes. I've done that too. I've done it with the bacon. It's really good. This is going to be a really southern dish. It's going to have all the elements of everything in it. All right, we need to make sure that our liquid is right at 1.5 cups, so I'm gonna add a little bit more water. Cup of butter, probably 1/2 cup of water. I'm just adjusting it a little bit just because it needs to be enough to where it's not gonna burn and it's gonna really heat through the potatoes. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna pour this over the sweet potatoes. Just like that. And we're going to cover this with foil, or if anybody's out there that doesn't like to use aluminum foil on their food, I hear from those people all the time. So if you don't like to use foil, you could put this in a covered baking dish, just has a glass lid on it. I don't have a glass lid for this particular baking dish, so I'm going to be using aluminum foil. We're going to bake this for 45 minutes on 350 degrees. And I'm using a convection oven, so it's going to cook a little faster. If you have a regular standard oven, I would say 350 for at least 60 minutes. And you know, watch it for sure. You can test it, watch it, make sure that your sugars aren't burning on the bottom or anything like that. Keep your temperature between 325 and 350. Okay, we'll be back when the sweet potatoes are finished. Okay, we've got our sweet potatoes out of the oven. I can still hear them bubbling. And we're going to take the foil off. See how they look? Boom. Yummy. And now the final touch of this is what you can do as an extra thing to do would be to add marshmallows, put them back in the oven and let them melt through. I'm probably not going to do that for this dish. Just because this is not a holiday, we're not in Thanksgiving, this is just a sweet potato. But as you can see, the sweet potatoes are cooked through and they're nice and moist, and you've got the bacon on top with the butter and molasses. So this is ready to serve up.